This is the voice out of Africa for the liberation of my people. MAPONGA Joshua, Mara, Chigarambok, Kugaramashambahuda. Down south, in the land of Royal Papa. Bees and endangered species. Melanin, blackness, Africa. The black man, if any tata, on Pan-African DTV, Afro TV.
Good. Thank God we're able to connect to you on this precious Sunday evening or morning or afternoon. It's been a challenge out there, and we're getting a lot of our followers, our congregants that are complaining they cannot sign in for one reason or the other. I don't know if you have the same challenges out there. If you're facing an issue, we have been dealing with for a long time now, for a couple of minutes, we cannot have access. As you saw, even the break-in was very evident that it's actually, this is the problem that we're experiencing for quite a while here on the Pan-African Daily TV, and particularly in US. So the internet is under attack in some areas, and so it's not whatever. And we know that every Sunday we gather in this house here to give thanks and gratitude and blessings, and to learn about our spirituality, who we are, and to be grateful for the Most High, the God of our ancestors, and to connect us spiritually in this place. So today I want to welcome all of you that are joining us today from wherever you're connected. Be welcome into this precious space today. We're going to continue with our sermon, and before we move on to it, I'll just call upon our King Joshua YAHSHUA MAPONGA to give us a word of blessings before we open up, discuss, or to get the food from the past to the present. Over to you, my King.
Greetings, sons and daughters of this beautiful, beautiful continent. We want to thank you all for joining us, and we'll do some prayer for this evening. And we remember Haiti in a very special way, and the challenges that they are going through in that part of the world. We wish for peace, we wish for love, we wish for understanding to the land that has given us food, to the waters that has given us breath, to the air that we breathe. Let there be peace and harmony upon this continent. Wisdom for our leaders. Long life to our old people. Energy and strength to our young people. And we also wish for learning to the youth of our continent, or that this land can be filled with understanding. Like the rivers flow, so let knowledge flow, so that those that are finding the flow of the river downstream can find life. Let there be life, therefore, in the veins of our bodies. Let there be life in the corridors of our thoughts. Let there be life in the words of our mouths, and let there be life in the labors of our hands. Let this continent be filled with peace. I say.
So yes, we have a very, as we do usually, we have to get a point where we want to focus our conversation and our preaching and our lectures for today. And we want to know what the gospel is requiring of us as a people that created humanity. And so Our people in Haiti are in a very terrible situation. Not only have they been facing drought, political instability, but recently we are called as a nation, as a people, because of the hunger that our people in Haiti are going through. No food. And so the Queen Mother of Haiti reached out to me, Professor Baena Bello, because she knew that King Maponga is coming today, and today is our church day, and asked me to reach out to the king that this is the time where we are not only politically attacked, but the people of Haiti is looking up to the mother continent, to its root for survival. Most often, when we talk about help and sustainability, we always talk about the diaspora coming home to support Africa or to invest in Africa. But this time now, I think it is the work of Mother Africa to take care of its children out in the diaspora that are reaching out and stretching out hands, their needs, their pain to us. So she actually talked about nation and asked me to convey that in the voices of the people of Haiti to you and to all the congregants today, that we need to pray exceptionally hard for Haiti, because the kind of hunger that the people of Haiti are going through is undescribable. She doesn't even know. People are dying of hunger as we speak. So tomorrow is my, and from the UKA, United Kingdoms of Great Africa, from Thought, from Voices of Africans Worldwide, and from Pan-African Daily TV, we are committing and channeling our prayers, our blessings, our needs, our support to the people of Haiti. And Queen Mother Professor Baena is going to be live with us tomorrow to explain the disaster that our people are under attack, as if they've been starving them to death for food. So we want to dedicate this service, and we want to start this service, and also to understand what does the gospel according to YAHSHUA Maponga says about the creation, food. What is the essence of food in our spirituality? Is it just the physical food that we eat, or the spiritual food? So before we go to read the chapter, I would just like you to open it up and give us an orientation as we go into the word. Bayete, Ashe.
Thank you. I share our heartfelt sympathies for the brothers and sisters in the islands. We need to find ourselves as a nation, the entire African Alkebuland continent, to reach out at such a time of pain. An injury to one is an injury to all. And when a brother is hungry and we're throwing away food, we can never call ourselves blessed. Firstly, maybe this goes out as an appeal to all African governments, to all Alkebuland governments, Zambia, Namibia, South Africa, Zimbabwe, Kenya, Rwanda, Nigeria, all the countries that are in Congo, that are Malawi, that are sitting on the green belt of food. We know some of these countries, like I can speak on behalf of Zimbabwe, we have enough wheat to last us here for the next 13 months because of the good harvest that we've done. We will no longer be importing any wheat for the next 13 months. And we are almost approaching another season of planting and harvesting again. So we could have some reserves in that regard. I think it would be wise for this conversation to be clipped and pasted and taken up to our political platforms, through the United Nations, through the Africa Union, through the SADC, through COMESA, and individual countries, whereby we can begin to see our brothers and sisters receiving shipments of food from the mainland. We also encourage those that are in Haiti that they must not be ashamed. In my tribe, we say a child who does not cry will die on their mother's back. Only until now, maybe I was out in the bush for the past couple of days. I've been off the radar. You have been looking for me and could not find me. I was out at the farm. But we need the people of Haiti to send a clarion call, a signal, whether it is in video forms or it is in emails or it is on WhatsApp or Facebook. Let the world know that there is a plight that is taking place in Haiti. When Ukraine was in trouble, we saw lots of social media branding that came out telling us to support Ukraine or support Russia, sort of thing. We're not discussing that today, but we hope to see the people in Haiti taking up the initiatives themselves to let us know also on mainland as to how bad is their situation and possibly how best we can assist. We'll do our best in terms of linking up with authorities and bodies that could see how that food is transported and taken from here to where they are. But surely it is a drive that we would want to get ourselves involved in. And secondly, only when such things happen do we begin to understand some of the words we always speak. There is nowhere in the world where hunger must be tolerated. Hunger becomes a problem when people begin to ignore their indigenous plants, their indigenous foods, their indigenous ways of agriculture. And they go with these Western types of seeds and agriculture, with seeds that cannot reproduce, seeds that are not friendly to the ground, and hunger becomes inevitable. Because like in Zimbabwe some few months ago, there was a whole upheaval that there was no bread. And some young people wanted to go to the streets and protest that they could not find bread. And I found myself speaking very loudly that before colonialism came, what were we eating? What were we eating for breakfast? What were we eating for lunch? What were we eating for supper? And are those foods no longer available? So the liberation is not only the liberation that is political, we also need our diets to be liberated so that we do not become hungry because of our appetite for pizzas and Western food. We should, as I said in one of the broadcasts, start developing our own indigenous seed banks, whereby every family should have their own seeds, indigenous seeds that are friendly to the ground, indigenous seeds that we know how to work on, and they are good for the environment, and they are friendly to our well-being. And let us discuss it in that line. So for the short term, yes, there is a relief that is needed. But for the long term, let us also focus at how do we liberate ourselves from a colonial diet to a more indigenous diet that is friendly to the environment. And as we say in Farmers of Thought, the problems of today and the problems of the future, their solutions sometimes they are in the past. So we may need to look across our shoulders a little bit and see where we are coming from and what is it exactly that is missing. If what is missing is meal and what is missing is wheat and bread, then we must know that that diet is actually being controlled. And the one who supplies your seeds, supplying your bread, controls the whole population. So we understand the natural disasters caused by droughts and global warming as they are beginning to take their toll on the world over. It's floods the other day, and when there's no flood, it's drought the other day. Quite an unpredictable environment, of course, having people also in the civilized communities who are tampering with these weather patterns, which is a known fact. But having said that, I think it is important that we help each other during times of stress. But above all, in the long term, it is important to decolonize our diets and make sure that we eat what we produce and we produce what we eat, but more so that we begin to become more organic, more indigenous in terms of our food preparation. That will give us a more long-term solutions. But I hope we can have a conversation outside of this for a clear brief exactly as to how we can be of assistance to those that are across the ocean. It is a shame, again, while Haiti could be starving, that we have heard the American governments dumping wheat in the sea so that they can increase the prices of wheat. So it's not the absence of food in the world that we're looking at, but it is the politicizing of food, the politics of the stomach that is now at play in the world arena, where people are using food as weapons of mass destruction. The war in Ukraine, for example, is not a war of nuclear weapons, not a war of anything. It's a war of bread. It's a war of bread. Ukraine producing its own bread and supplying the rest of Europe, and the Americans wanting to have the market for their wheat in Europe, have deliberately decided to cripple the production of wheat in Ukraine, and then sanction Russia not to ship its wheat into Europe, and leaving the Americans as the only supplier of the wheat. All other factors like oils and gases and etc. come in the peripheral. But what is that which is known about Ukraine? And when you understand what they are doing best, then understand what the enemy is fighting. And the next question will be, what is it that is in Haiti? Is it not Haiti that declared a few months ago that they were breaking away from the British monarch? What is it that Haiti is supplying? Who has an interest in Haiti? And what could be the political and social economic interests that are in the shadows that could be seen as results that perpetrate and create such an environment of poverty and hunger? I'm saddened when human lives are played and tossed around for the purposes of politics. It's a shame on humanity. That which makes us human is humanness towards each other. And when we begin to rejoice in each other's hunger and facilitate the starvation of children, women, and disabled, those countries that get involved in such businesses can never pronounce themselves as blessed. You can sing as much as you want, God bless America. I will tell you here now that cursed is a land that throws away food for political reasons, while people that direly need that food are right outside their doorsteps. So let's consolidate the request and let's align ourselves, and let's see if we can gather together business and private sector who will then share in this problem with us and see if we can mobilize a certain amount of tonnage of food to assist. We need also to understand the quantity of the project itself. How many people are we looking at? The logistics of moving that kind of resource there, time factor, how long will it take to ship stuff there? If it is money, where can wheat be found? Where can maize be found and shipped there? So there's quite a bit of logistical background that we need to do so that we can be able to assist in the most efficient way possible. And over and above that, again, issues of money, banking, and controls, and transferings between countries, and money laundering laws that are now at the height, so that even if you raise money from certain parts of the country, the governments, through the observation of the economic mafias, will make sure that those resources don't reach the people they are intended to reach. So we need to understand also the political environment in which Haiti finds itself. Did she make any enemies recently? And how do those enemies intend to punish her for the decisions that she has made? But where there's a will, there's a way. And I think that the Haiti people need to come to the fore and advise us through diplomatic channels, which we can see how best we can service. It's one thing to send food; it's another thing to have that same food dumped somewhere else and people continue to suffer. So we may need to call her, and me and you, Dr. Susan, we sit in a small little workshop and we get the feeling, the political environment, so that before we can start a program and a project of this nature, we can guide and assist in the best way possible, so that help reaches the people who need it at the time at which they need it the most. I thank you.
Thank you and welcome again, all of you, into this special session. Today we are on the Gospel according to YAHSHUA, and so we will just go to read the chapter 1. We studied Genesis 1 up to 15 last week, but I will skip all those chapters because we're talking about food, land, and hunger, and to see what the gospel according to YAHSHUA is telling us about our land and how we need ourselves, what our clan needs to know, and its position. So I would read the gospel from verses 47 to 51, if it is okay with. It fits to the topic, and so that we can always, position the message to suit the topic and the current event on the ground. So if you are reading with me, most of you already have it. Those that don't have it, okay, we'll still have to look for how we get it to you, but just listen, please. So the gospel according to YAHSHUA, chapter 1, verse 1, Genesis again 1, verse 47 says, I start from verse 46, sorry. Oh, that Alkebuland, may her own land, her earth, and her soil feed and eat from it. Verse 46 says, oh, that Alkebuland, may her own land, her earth, and her seed feed and eat from it. 47 says, oh, that she will be together with her soil and love and nature as her mother, as wife, and as a home. For from her you come, and unto her you will return. Let this year bring joy and prosperity to Alkebuland, and live long in good health and wealth. 49. I declare a new start to our own heavens, means to our thoughts. Our own earth means our estate and prosperities. So 49 says, I declare a new start to our own heavens and our own earth. Verse 50 says, create your world with your words. I now tell you, in the beginning, I create my heavens and my earth. And 51 says, keep your head in the air, Alkebuland, and your feet on the soil. Sink your feet in the soil while your mind blows with the winds, and the clouds live, or life is between the heaven and the earth. So this is the word according to, yes, YAHSHUA MAPONGA,
Yes.
the gospel. Mm-hmm.
I wish to pitch the discussion of today on the similarities that I plant in your minds between the three estates: the estate of the mind, the estate of women, and the estate of land. And these three estates, land first, which is like dust, soil, and earth, the real soil itself, the ground on which we live on, and the ground on which we plant and the ground on which we harvest our food. This land is what we own as our estates, because it is on this land that we grow our food, look after our cattle. It is on this land that we build our houses and we have identity. This land has rivers, has mountains, has forests. This land is the visible piece of estate, which is called by our names, Alkebuland. And when you have a farm or you have a territory as a king, this is what the land is named after, the land that belongs to, the land that is given birth to, the land where such and such people have fallen out of. So that becomes the first estate. And many wars have been fought over land, like literally the whole of Africa. Wars have been fought over land. Tribes in times past, even up to date, the Fulanis and the Masais and the Kenyan governments, the Himbas and the Tswanas, the Shona and Debeles, land is as sacred. And people who will go to war to fight over land. Yet land never goes anywhere. Land remains exactly where we found it. And when we're finished fighting for it, we will all be buried in the land. And another generation will come. And there's no one who has been able to take land and run away with it in an envelope. Land remains where it remains. It needs to be respected because it is sacred, and it gives us a sense of identity. It gives us a place of wealth. But then, with the amount of land that we fight for, which is the physical land, I move over to the second estate, which is women. And I would, for the purpose of this conversation, again classify women as land. And I'm not mixing my words. Women are a land. And if you look at the virtues and values and uses of land, you would find it parallel to women. And as such, when you hear Africans, when they are happy, they begin to refer to the continent as Mother Africa. Africa is actually given gender. She is not called him Father Africa. No, it's called Mother Africa, because women are as sacred to Alkebuland men as their land is. It's for that reason, on Farmers of Thought, particularly on this gospel, which we want all the old people and young people to begin to accept as truth, that land is important. And without land, it is illegal to reproduce. Without land, it is illegal to reproduce. You must use your influence to own land, and after owning land, then reproduction can follow. But with the same passion that you have to possess land, so should we have to protect women. And we're here on the 16 days of activism on gender-based violence. And if you find a man encroaching on your piece of land, or planting on your land, or harvesting on your land, you lose your head. The same way, our modern men would rather fight over land than protect women. For that reason, women need protection, not from anyone else, protection from ourselves, because they are not being protected from animals. They're being protected from ourselves, particularly the male species. So the issue of us protecting land becomes important. Not only to protect land, young men must be taught how to look after land. Young men must be taught how to water land. Young men must be taught how to fertilize land. Young men must be taught how to protect land. Young men must be taught how to groom the land and plant on the land. And I want to believe you on this gospel that if a young man does not know how to look after land, A young man cannot look after a woman. I make that as an assumption, but a proven assumption that you can't be educated and you can't feed your family. With all your degrees and your magma summa cum laude, should the universities close, should the places you are working close up, will you be able to cut out your certificates on a piece of paper and serve them for dinner and lunch and supper and ensure that your family does not starve without being hired? The answer is a big fat no. No man has died with certificates and degrees, and he has left them as an inheritance for his children. So, yes, let's teach the young men, let's teach the young women how to look after land. And after you learn to look after land, then you can learn how to look after each other. For the same amount of care that you put on the land should be the same amount of care that you put on each other, particularly for the male child. That's how we should look after women, same way we look after our land. And thirdly, it is the land of our minds, our thoughts, our brains, our knowledge systems, our intelligence. What is it that we are doing with our estates, the estates of thought, estates of the mind, or learning centers? That's another estate. That's another piece of land. And these three pieces of land have same principles. Whoever is planting on your mind has permission to harvest from it. So you need to ask yourself the question, what kind of seed is being planted on my mind? Who is planting that seed? When are they coming to harvest from this orchard? And what are you when other people are working on your mind, planting their things, getting what they want and going away, messing up your head with artificial fertilizers, artificial poisons? I'm talking about your mind, quality of information, quality of cultures that you are putting in your mind, quality of insecticides and fertilizers. What is it that fertilizes your mind and excites your mind? Find that our young people have become consumers of pornography, propaganda, Western movies, Western, music, Western cultures, fashion, culture, cultures, and everything else. And everyone is running to the estate that hangs between your two ears. The question is, who is the farmer of your thoughts? Who is the farmer of your brain? And until you find that farmer who is working every morning to come to your brain and work on it, whether through news, through adverts, through publications, through information, through propaganda, and they're working on your mind, at the end of the day, what kind of a person do they want to produce? So when we talk about land throughout the gospel, I want you to keep those three structures in space. The land of your mind that hangs between your ears, the land of reproduction that hangs between your legs, the land of production that is underneath your feet. And all of us, when we are born into this world, we are born with those three estates: estate of the mind, estate of reproduction, and the estate of birth, place of birth. There's no child on the face of the earth who is born without a physical space which they must occupy. Other people are greedy. They're occupying more than what others have. But ultimately, every child, every Alkebuland child needs to manage. Plant the good seed here. Plant the good seed here. Plant the good seed over there. And I'll say it loudly and clearly. You can hashtag me on this one. You cannot give a man land underneath and between his legs.
Okay.
fight to protect the quality. So we fight to protect the estate of our minds. We fight to protect the estate of our reproduction. We fight to protect the estate of our land. For without land, we are nothing. We are nothing. Even love needs a physical address. Next time, someone, young ladies, here on your Alkebuland answer them back and say why. Don't ask them, why do you love me? Ask them, where do you love me? Because even love address. You can't love me on WhatsApp. You can't love me on Facebook. You need a physical address to do so. So all that Alkebuland can understand the value of land. And when I say land, you need to hear me. I speak once, you need to hear me 3 times. I thank you.
Thank you very much. I mean, this is very crucial. This is very important. We see the whole world today is in that aspect of land, possession, food. But like you said, these are the 3 aspects that we must protect, we must dwell, we must handle, we must protect, we must defend, and we must actually pass it over from one generation to the other. Just a kind of a side, just a side comment on it. This week, or coming up as from tomorrow or on Tuesday, there's going to be a U.S. Africa conference, and we see um, it's like a summit. They call
I
it.
saw your beautiful picture. I saw your beautiful picture there on the posters.
No, that one is the Black Excellence, but this one I'm talking about is a U.S. Africa summit on the invitation of President Biden and inviting the African heads of state to different summit. And so the question would be, we Africans post a lot of questions, and I think it's just in the chat while we are in this session, because this is not just an announcement, but it goes to align with the factor land and possession and leaving your own estate to go to feed or to soar into the house of the other. And when you visit this land and you look at the way they have positioned their estate, even from your own resources, the question becomes very critical as Africans want to know. And there was a question that came up to you directly. What would you say on this summit? It was very clear. Professor James was here and he made a declaration and he made it very clear. He would like when the African head of state to their countries to give an account of the achievements that they had during this USA Africa summit. But the question is, when are we going to see the leadership of the continent invite other governments on a summit in Africa? What is the word? What is the spiritual need of the brains when you talk about who is programming from your estate above your heavens, which is your head, and beneath your soul?
I think we are happy for this year, but not very happy. But for what it is worth, let's mention it. That the previous few years, if not 20 or 30 years, Zimbabwe has been excluded from those meetings.
Please be patient. the internet is really, really cracky, like I said in the beginning.
Yeah, it's quite crazy today. Zimbabwe has been invited for this summit, and we are being invited, but the sanctions on the country are still being
This is another key factor that you have to listen very, very attentively to. I mean, we've heard Brother Rutendo a couple of times on the Pan African Daily TV set out this campaign on sanctions against U.S. sanctions against Zimbabwe. And today we're getting another story coming out from King Maponga saying Zimbabwe was invited to this U.S. Africa summit. You mean?
We are happy to announce that Zimbabwe has been invited for the sanctions. And yet, while we are being invited for the sanctions, only for Zimbabwe, I hear that the American government actually passed a policy in parliament to put Zimbabwe under sanctions. Other sanctions are almost like embargo. Other sanctions are almost like embargoes where they're just by the way. But the Zimbabwean sanctions are actually constituted into the Constitution of America as a policy that is standing. And the satire and the humor of inviting us as Zimbabwe to become part of this conference, yet we are still on sanctions. It kind of, it's very, leaves a sour taste in the mouth of us as citizens. But we are fully aware that again, that these sanctions are coming at a timely space where the American government has noticed the influence of Russia across the African continent, the impact of China across the African continent, whereas the Americans and the British have just been here to take goods out and run away. Of course, some of the Chinese people are doing that, but for what it is worth, at least the Chinese people are putting small little infrastructures here and there at a high cost, of course. I hope that our governments are smart enough to read through these contracts and see the small prints that are in these contracts, that if you fail to own up to those contracts, you actually end up selling the country to the Chinese people. But Russia, on the other end, is coming in. Russia has never, Russia, hands up for Russia. Russia has never colonized any country in Africa. Russia has not done that. And the relationship of Russia with Africa is causing lots of jittery on the American side because of the resources, again, that Africa can give. And America is afraid that it is slowly, and the Commonwealth is afraid. And again, good news is that Zimbabwe could also be readmitted into the Commonwealth. But we're still on sanctions, but you want our resources, so you put us on Commonwealth. But even in the midst of sanctions, we are aware of companies that are right here in Zimbabwe that are shadowing as Arabic companies, as Mauritian companies, as, Zimbabwean companies, but they're just fronting for the Americans. So they say they don't want to do business with us. But in actual fact is that Americans have never left. And for your own information, I only picked up a few months ago that one of the biggest American embassies in Africa is actually in Zimbabwe, right next to our parliament, our new parliament. They've actually built a new one there also to make sure that they stay very close to the Zimbabwean government. For whatever strategic reason that is, well, I'll leave that for the security people. But you understand that the move for this conference has nothing much to do with Zimbabwe as a people, as it has lots to do with the resources that the continent can give. And yes, Dr. Small is very right. It is high time that our leaders walk up to these conferences, not to take pictures, walk up to these conferences, not to go shopping, but walk up to these conferences with a mandate from their people. What is it exactly that we want to achieve in these conversations? You need to go there with a 3-point plan, 1, 2, 3, and come back and say, we give you the 3 things that we need. We want sanctions lifted up. We want to trade away from the dollar in our gold and we want freedom also to enter America as the Americans, the freedom to enter our countries. Simple and straightforward. I don't have to write a book to enter America, but when you come here, you just come here with the passport. So there's lots of disrespect that is happening on the continent, particularly from our American and our British friends and the Yengen visa people who act like going to their countries is going to heaven. And when they come here, it's like they're going to a toilet. That's unacceptable. So we need like a 3-point plan. And if all the African presidents who are going for this conference can just identify those 3-point plans. And point number 4, we also are not asking for permission, but we are saying we are going to develop our own nuclear warheads also. Because if North Korea is allowed to develop nuclear warheads and America cannot touch them because they have nuclear warheads, Russia cannot be touched because they have nuclear warheads, Africa is a playfield because we still have bows and arrows. Yet we are producing uranium, yet we are producing platinum, yet we are producing lithium. All these factors of respect for sovereignty of governments must be instituted in the conversation so that we don't just come back here with we had a good conference, they're bilateral, we've signed an NDA, we have signed lots of those NDAs. Even the NDA of colonialism was signed, for crying out loud. And we were in slavery here and in poverty under the supervisions of the Americans. What is it that has changed? What is it that will change on this conference? Do we just go there for the sake of appearing at the conference? Or we go there to bring out the mandate from the people and bring back the results that we need? Again, we are fighting for our land underneath our feet. We are fighting for the land between our legs, our reproduction. We want freedom to produce and reproduce. We've never walked up to America and told them how to produce and how to reproduce. We also want freedom for our minds. And these freedoms I'm talking about, you cannot ask for them. You don't beg for these freedoms. The very fact that you are a human being and you are alive, you owe it yourself to demand for power. Power is never donated by those who have it, according to the words of Martin Luther King Jr. Power is never donated. Those that are oppressed must take it. And even the Bible acknowledges, the Black Book says, those who take it by force. Because they took it away from us by force. What makes you think that you can negotiate your way out of war? You cannot talk about peace unless you are ready to speak about war. We want one African government put together. We want our United Kingdoms of Africa coming together. I come again, one currency, one stock exchange, one army, educational system, one, borderless Africa, freedom of movement for the African children, freedom of trading between countries here in Africa, so that we can begin to develop a fully fledged continent that can be counted. And also we demand a seat on the Security Council. You can't have 2.8 billion people not represented on the Security Council. And here is Ukraine with only a few million people already applying for membership on the Security Council. What is it that is demanded for you to go on the Security Council? If it is guns, yes, then let's produce our guns. If it is nuclear warheads, yes, let's produce our own nuclear heads. Then we can also be respected and we protect our borders from those that intend to destroy us from within and from without. I thank you.
Thank you. I think you and all of you that post that question, you have the right answer to it, or you have already what you expected to get on this. Another issue came up during this week, and your opinion was actually sorted. As we continue today on the gospel with King MAPONGA Joshua or YAHSHUA, we are bringing strategic things from the word that he's been teaching us about. And that's why we bring in aspects that transpired in this week to discuss and to get his clear point on it during the Sunday session. So another one that came up is like, you must have read about it, that Her Excellency Madame Samia Suluhu, the president of Tanzania, actually annulled or cancelled the Independence Day celebration and allocated that to actually build dormitory schools and create funds for women to be able to develop. And because of 16 days of actually and giving that voices to women that are under this domestic violence. And we know when we talk about Muslim Christianity or the Muslims, we're going to say this are aggressive. But what is actually your clear point, your point on that? Because Africans were just celebrating, jubilating. That one of the most trendiest posts that we had on the Pan-African community here. Everybody's saying the way a true leader, exemplary leader of a country should go about development.
I've been watching the Tanzanian Tanganyika, as I call them, where the world begins. That's the right word for Tanzania. It's not Tanzania, it's Tanganyika, where the world
Tanganyika.
begins. Tanganyika. In Shona, it means where civilization and the world begins. That places our history within the Great Rift Valley between Mount Kenya, Mount Kilimanjaro, Rwenzori, Victoria, Serengeti, that whole Tanganyika kind of space. I've been watching the politics of that country with quite an interest after the passing away of my beloved dear brother, Dr. Pembe Magufuli. And she could not do anything better than to build on a legacy that Magufuli had planted on. Here is a president who never left the borders of his country, but look at what he achieved in those times. Here is a president who cut down the unnecessary expenses of diplomatic visits. Here is a president who used his own resources to build his country. Here is a president who declared that minerals would not leave the country unless they've been beneficiated in the country. Here is a president with much more stronger words that I could follow in the eastern region in front of Kagame, that he actually built up Tanzania to become one of the fastest growing economies. And yes, I fully support some of these celebrations that go into millions. We're celebrating independence. Independence from what? From what? Independent in what way? When you are still dependent, you're still dependent. Dependent in everything, from your food to your dress and education. You're still dependent. Your economics, you're still dependent. And yet you want to celebrate independence. Independence from what? Some of these window dressing ceremonies are meaningless, both in function and in intention. And as such, I really want to applaud and congratulate her for that vision, or that African and Alkebuland leaders could follow suit to prioritize the needs of the people above the needs of the state and above the needs of the leaders. Because the leaders will tend to want to feed themselves first before they can worry about other people. But true leadership has to make sure that if you're a good shepherd, that your sheep will eat first and be satisfied. Maybe I could sing a song for you for tonight that is found in the book of Psalm 23, but in my own gospel, that every leader should be a good shepherd. Every leader must make sure that their people are not in want. I shall not want. Every leader, make sure that your people are sleeping in green pastures. Every leader must lead his people to still waters. Every leader must refresh the souls of his own people. Even if we walk through the valleys of the shadows of death and fear, a good leader must make sure that his people are not afraid of the arrows by night and the darkness by night and the sun by day. Every leader must make sure that his mind is anointed with oil. Hey, man, feel like preaching tonight. Anointed with oil. And when the minds are anointed with oil, the labors of our hands, our cups will run over. The abundance of our labor is controlled by the quality of our thinking. And when our cups are running over, you look behind us, the Americans and the British will be chasing behind us. And the Black Book says, goodness and mercy will be following us. Following what? following the overflow of your blessings as a continent. Surely goodness and mercy will follow a good leader. And as they dwell in their places of abode, now and forevermore, I say.
You feel the power? People, can you feel the power? Ugh. I nearly jumped out here because exactly that is it. That is it. Power like never before. When the light touches you, King YAHSHUA, we feel it. You burn and you like, I feel like preaching. Yes, go on and preach. The children of Alkebuland have been so hungry for what the word is all about. And if we say only goodness and mercy shall continue to follow us, the children of Alkebuland, all the days and nights.
And let me say something that is exciting also there. If at a personal level, don't give people what is in your cup. What is in your cup belongs to you. Don't give people what is in your cup. The passage says, my cup overflows.
Yes.
Let people feed from the overflow, not from within the cup. Make sure that your citizens are filled. Make sure that the pot is full. Only out of the abundance and out of the excess, out of the overflow, the goodnesses and the mercies can follow us to collect the crumbs that are falling off from our tables. But we cannot take what is in our cups and begin to feed the neighbor's children when our own children are starving.
Yes. They never see us coming. They didn't see us coming. Baba Magafuli said it. And they will not see us come. Because the children of Alkebuland is here. And when voices like YAHSHUA begin to sound the trumpet, you know it is time. And I can remember the first day you were here on the show, you picked up your trumpet and said, this is time. The voices from the mountains, from the children, from the creation, calling each and every one of us home to our heavens, to our thoughts, to recreate a better world again. That is possible.
Let's pick up something else. One more thing on the good leadership. It says, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. A good leader must understand the dynamics between a rod and a staff. But if you read in a good translation like I did, it does not say thy rod and thy staff. That's a bad translation. The good translation must read thy rod in thy staff. What does that mean, therefore? It's one stick. On the front side, it has the curve on it, and then it goes straight. That is the rod of a shepherd. So if you pick it up from the top side, it becomes a rod, which you use for discipline. And if you pick it from the bottom, it becomes a staff, which you use for redeeming people out of problems. So a good leader must know when to use the staff and when to use the rod. And you as a leader must be disciplined enough to know where to function from. You cannot always be holding a rod in your hand to beat people and smack people and beat up the sheep. No, a good leader will use the rod to guide the sheep. And when one sheep falls into the ditch, a leader must be able to put their stick out there, their staff, and pull the sheep out from the problems. So we need leadership that knows when to use what. Many of these governments, some of them have ended up becoming military governments who are intolerant, who are just murderers and killers. All they know is discipline and discipline and discipline. But man, you cannot be disciplining all the times. There are times when a leader must become a shepherd and know when to use the rod and when to use the staff. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. And I wish we can demystify some of these passages of scripture away from the traditional, the Lord is my shepherd, and we push it out in the sky. Even if I could take the same passage and move it towards men in the house on the 16 days of activism. Every man must be a shepherd. Your wife must not want. Lead her to green pastures. Restore her soul. Make sure that she is not afraid by night and by day. Walk through the valleys of shadows of death. Fear no evil. And let your rod and your staff be of comfort to her. And anoint your head with oil. When you touch her, she will be blessed and overflow. Truly goodness and mercy will follow your family all the days of your life. Is well in your abode. Ashe.
Who? So as it was in the time where Alkebuland was created until the end, and never ending creation, we say Ashe and Ashe. Yes.
The last one I can share. The last one I can share again on the same passage. Thou hast laid a table before me in the presence of my enemies. I like that one there. Beautiful piece of work also. The harvest from the land, they are now on the table. And many people have read this passage to think that, they must actually have a table in the midst of their enemies. And then they must be eating while their enemies are watching. Well, that's a poor translation because that's a very selfish translation. Let me give you the correct translation. In the tradition of the Hebraic culture, you don't eat unless you have washed your feet. So if the Lord has placed a table before you in the presence of your enemies, it does not mean that you sit down and you eat by yourself. But the table has been placed and you are the host at the table. Now that takes us to the book of Matthew, where he went into the upper room and he washed his disciples' feet, even the one who wanted to kill him. And he washed his feet and he put him on the table. If Psalm 23 says, you have laid a table before me in the presence of my enemies, it means now you are at a point of advantage. What are you going to do with your blessing? Are you going to sit on the table and eat alone? Or you are going to get up from your table, wash the feet of your enemies, and make them guests on your own table? The table is yours. The enemies are around you. What are you going to do about them? Hear the preacher. Now, when the table is laid before you, you are being tested to see if you are not better than them. You missed that part there. If you are not better than them, because if your enemies were eating alone while you were starving, and then the tables turn, now you have an opportunity of sitting on the table, which has been laid before you. How are you going to eat from that table? You are being tested to see if you are not better than the enemies that were once upon you. So when the table is set, take a dish and take a towel and wash the feet of your enemies and let them sit, break bread, and give them bread from your table. That is power. Not just to revenge, but power that says, I'm not as evil as you are. You are eating alone. I'm going to eat with you. That is Ubuntu at its basics. So the laying of the table is a test for the character of Alkebuland. When finally you are in one piece and when finally you are back on your feet, what are you going to do about your enemies? Are you going to kill them? Are you going to destroy them? Now that the table is in front of you, are you going to eat alone, or you are going to take up the table, the dish and the towel and begin to wash the feet of your enemies? Forgive them for they are as stupid as their forefathers were, and give them the dignity that they deserve, and sit them on the table together with yourself and restore them, because they also need restoration. They are equally destroyed by the same theology they've been sending to us, and we cannot be perpetuators of a corrupt form of information and education that has destroyed this world. We need a different kind of software. Yes, we are going to shepherd ourselves. Yes, we're going to lead ourselves. Yes, we're going to walk through the valleys of shadows of death. But when we come out of this, we are not as wicked as you are. When the table is set, we will wash your feet. We'll give you a piece of bread to eat also. That's what makes us people. That's what makes us Bantu. That is Ubuntu. I thank you.
Yeah. Fire! I told you, people. I told you yesterday. I told you, you better be here or be nowhere, because this time, you, the children of Alkebuland, are sitting on the table. The tables are turning. We keep saying it's your time, it's our time, it's our time to breathe. Now you should already be getting ready. What are we going to do? Because exactly that's the point. The they get power, they're going to destroy us. They get power, they're going to pay back us in our coins. And you are saying the word of your great grandfathers, the creator and the most high, to say, no, I am not as wicked as you. Look at my work. I have never created missiles. I don't have even nuclear weapons. That was not my responsibility. I was not given the task, children of Alkebuland. You were not given that intelligence that is to destroy, but to create, to build, and to heal. That is why we keep saying all the time. We keep saying all the time, yes, like seeing the child, so we're going to kill them with kindness. It's another way of killing. And that's the biggest power. Have you ever given love to somebody that has hurt you? Have you ever showed forgiveness to people that have backstabbed you? And you see how they drown and they kill themselves without you? That is the power, children of Alkebuland. Preach, my king. Preach.
And
Today is that day.
You're raising something, you're putting me on fire here. You're raising something very, very, very important. That hatred and anger is what we have right now, because we want to see ourselves break free from this colonial, neo-colonialistic, capitalistic, all these sorts of evils that have surrounded us. And I must say that some of the Caucasians are scared to let go, because they fear that when we are free, we are going to take guns, we are going to take machetes, and we're going to chop off their heads, we're going to stab them, we're going to kill them, we're going to do all those kind of things. But as we have already said, we are not as evil as you are. We are not your type. We don't have the same melanin. We don't have the same DNA with you. We are not as wicked as the Caucasians are. All we want is to fight. Yes, we're going to fight for freedom. But after we've gained our freedom, we didn't say that we're going to bundle all of you and dump you in the sea and cut off your heads and kill you and etc. We just want Ubuntu to become the order of the day. We want a space of peace, goodwill, and harmony amongst ourselves as brothers and sisters. And for me, this is what makes us, us. If you can hear what I'm saying, this is what makes us, us. This is what sets us apart. This is what makes South Africa. This is what makes South Africa, South Africa. That after you have killed thousands of people, a nation can come out of that, and whites and blacks can still live in harmony. We are not happy with South Africa because they're still refusing to let go of the economic power. But for crying out loud, we have enough military powers in our hands within South Africa to anger ourselves as we have been angered and remove them from the face of the earth. But we're not going to do that. We are not as evil as they are. If they had a chance, they would kill us all, as they did in Nyanzonya. 20, 30,000 people bombed and killed. 20 million people bombed and killed in Congo. If they had a chance, they would wipe out all on the face of the earth and remain enjoying the resources all by themselves. But we are not as wicked as you are. All we want to see is the restoration of our dignity, the restoration of our land and our people, the restoration of our languages and our culture, the living in harmony and us benefiting from our resources. All we want is a cup of clean water, a plate of clean food, a syringe of clean medicine, so that we can live a life, we can live lives of dignity and respect. Is that too much to ask from a Caucasian? Is that too much to ask? I want to get married the way I want to get married. I want to be buried the way I want to get buried. Is that too much to ask? You are free to do your things in the West. You are free to marry dogs and leave your inheritance with cats. You are free to marry each other and go to Miami and do your things. Go to San Francisco and do your thing. We're not coming there. We're not coming there. But you cannot force San Francisco on Harare. You can't force San Francisco on Uganda. You can't force San Francisco on Nairobi and in Johannesburg, because we have never declared any piece of Europe and America as our piece of land. Neither did we declare that our culture must be enforced on the American and the European people. As such, we are saying, as Alkebuland, we also have an identity. Can we just be free to be who we are and not fear to be who we are? Talk the way we want to talk, worship the way we want to worship, and just be ourselves. For crying out loud, are you not tired of midgets and parrots who are always echoing back and speaking to you the way you understand them? You know, hello, Mr. Hello, how are you? I can understand you, but do you understand me? Are you not tired of having people who are just echoing back your own knowledge systems, your own quotations, your own Shakespeare's, your own Charles Dickens, your own Alexander the Great? Are you not tired of hearing yourselves? It's like you're talking to yourselves, for crying out loud. But if you understand the discipline and the beauty of creation and variety, you would begin to appreciate that there is great power when diverse people, different worldviews, different medical backgrounds, different cultural expressions, different languages, different mindsets come together to create a true world global community where each community can respect the other community. And in the plurality of our cultural diversity comes in our wealth, so that we can learn from each other. That's what life is all about. It's not about monochrome, all of us becoming white people on the face of the earth, all of us becoming Caucasians, all of us becoming Europeans, all of us celebrating Easter, celebrating Christmas, all of us running behind the black jack flag and the 52 colors of the American flag. No, we are not part of those stars. We also have our own stars on the continent. And until you begin to respect other people, why do you demand that they should respect you?
Fire! Fire all the time. Fire. Alkebuland, until you learn to fire, until the fire catches you, until the spirit of one Africa, one love, because you are the creation of humanity in all race, all colors, all shapes, all sizes. It is time to pick up again that time and fix it again. We will fix it. No fear, no favor. My king, you said something. You say something. Is that asking too much that I just be me? Even when I smile, it's a problem for you. Why are they happy? Even when we are poor, oh, you want to bring the solution. That is not from us. Everything has to go. Now, one simple point of reflection, my king. What causes us more time, more pain, more hurt? What is easy, to hate or to love and move? What is the easiest, cheapest thing is free that benefits not only, the other, but benefits you first? What is the most simplest and cheapest way? Is it hate or love?
Because we've been taught anger. We have been taught revenge. We have been taught war. We have been taught enmity. We have experienced the evil on us. Psychologically speaking, I think I understand. Having been in those spaces, I think I fully understand. Someone comes and they cut off your toe, they cut off the other toe, they cut off the other toe, and you start crying. They said, if you keep on crying, I'll cut your mother's toe. And they cut it and they cut it. And then if you keep on crying, I'll chop off your father's head. We've witnessed violence at the highest level. And something in us tells us we cannot just watch this thing happen. So anger is like, it's like chewing gum. It sticks and it never leaves your finger if it does not stick to the other finger. So you end up with this playing. If you have put bubble gum on your fingers and you're trying to let it go from your fingers, you will spend the whole day trying to move it from one finger to another, and it keeps on sticking from one finger to another until you finally put some saliva on it and roll it up as a ball and then put some more, and then you can throw it away. Anger is like that. They're an angry people. The Caucasians are an angry nation, very angry nation. I don't know. We never went to their countries and we never did anything to them. That's the honest truth. The only time we went to Europe was to civilize them and teach them how to bath, honestly, and how to read and write, and set up the monarchs for them, like the British monarch, the Moors, and etc. Brought civilization into the whole of Europe. And so we never went there. We don't have enmity with them, as in my fresh memory, that the white man or the Caucasian man should just find himself angry with a black person or with an Alkebuland person. Those kids are just angry kids. They're psychologically imbalanced kids. They teach their children hatred. They teach their children superiority complexes, which are actually embedded in inferiority complexes. After they've taught their children all those rubbish stories, their children are still running to get married to black men. Why? Because they know the survival instincts of the black gene is stronger than the Caucasian gene. Come up with the KKK organizations to wipe out all the blacks. And why wipe out all the blacks? What have they done to you? So you have a generation of these Caucasians who are just psychologically retarded group of white kids who think that the whole world owes them. They walk around the world, from India to China to Africa. Wherever they go, they don't go there to build. They go there to destroy. Destroy culture, destroy vegetation, destroy animals, destroy the land, collect as much as you can, gather it yourself, lock it up in your own storerooms and stuff like that. They are just these egocentric kids. I want to call them kids because they've never grown up from that. Kids, these Caucasian kids who are messed up in their heads, And they bring up children who are twice messed up like themselves, walk around the world vandalizing people, vandalizing lives, and hiding behind religion and hiding behind Christianity. God loves you, but you don't love me. We'll go to heaven together, but don't want to live with me. No, when you get to heaven, everything will be fine. But are you sure you're going to get to heaven yourself? So anger has been taught in this particular political way, I'm putting it, been taught to us. And unfortunately, if we live with it long enough, it will destroy us. So I would call upon, yes, let's use our anger, which is our aggression, to get our freedom back. But once we have our freedom back to ourselves, we need to use a different word than aggression, and that word is affection. We need to use affection after aggression. We don't want to live in a perpetual eternity of aggression and anger, for that will become destructive. But in the long term, we may want to turn our aggression right now. It will be turned sooner or later into affection. And we look at them with affection because we also understand they are spoiled kids. They are mentally imbalanced children. Yes, they might look smart, they might look intelligent, they might be able to fly up and down and make some escalators, create this and that, but that's all there is. Inside those hearts are empty vessels who want everything at any expense and don't care about life, nature, vegetation, animals, land, air, water. To them, profit is their God and it is their king. We are not like that as in people. Again, I say it again, we are not wicked like that. We are Bantu. We are human beings. Singabantu. In our heart of hearts, we still feel the pain. And I can tell you now, when you find a Caucasian person suffering and a black person suffering and a Alkebuland suffering, something in your heart says, help this one because they can't even help themselves. So we have that Ubuntu. So love is better than hatred because hatred is a prison that does not have a door. You who hates must sit at the door and make sure that I don't escape. I thank you.
Thank you so very much. Thank you thank all of you. Thank you so much. The global family in the chat, thank you for your very, very active and of prosperity. No time for hate. No time for hate because each single person that hates only takes us back generations. It takes us generation back. And that is why we are stuck in the absence of our unity. Because that love, we split the love and trying to catch the front, we're in the present and the back. That's why we ourselves are not focused. The distraction is the hate. And because we are in the church and the gospel, and we're talking about blessings and peace and love and unity, could we be different? Can we try to be different? Can we be the examples, the light that we want to teach now? Let's just assume that we need to, like you said it in the last chapter. Let's assume we know nothing. We're starting every day. Let's assume. And so I want to read verse
Yep.
28. Sorry. Mhm.
And Dr. Susan, we are not going anywhere. This is our home. They have destroyed us. They've destroyed it. But we must rebuild it and dwell in it and dwell on it and pick up the crumbs of what they have left and leave that as an inheritance for our children while they go
Amen.
back to their country. So you see some selfish, egocentric mindsets of let's do this as quick as we can before they kick us out of their countries. So the attitude of the Caucasian in Africa is not to build Africa. It is to access as much resource as possible within a limited space of time and get as much as you can before these black people wake up and refuse us these resources, which is wrong. We are not going to refuse you resources as long as you behave and you walk in dignity and in respect. That's what life is all about. That's what life is all about. We started doing business with your forefathers way before you were even born, way before you even knew how to brush your teeth as Europeans, way before you could even change diapers and knew how to use monthly period pads, way before you could even operate a brain. We were already doing that. Way before you could even build a house and living in the mountains of Caucasus. We're building pyramids here and building the Great Zimbabwe Road. Way before you even knew what our names were. We're not young on this game plan. We may look like we're backwards according to your standards, but hell no, I beg to differ. Our technologies are far much more superior because they are green technologies. We lived on this continent for millions of years, and you still found it in the condition that is habitable, that is environmentally friendly. You've hardly been here for 400 years. And look at the amount of pollution and distortion and destruction that you have caused. It's a call for reflection. I wish I had power to address the United Nations. Wish I had power to address the world leaders. Can't you see? All the wars in the world are being fought over greed and selfishness. Big male egos, high volumes of testosterone, killing orphans, killing mothers, killing children for ideologies. Capitalism, socialism, West this, Northern this, Western, go kill them. Drop some bombs, shoot and kill. Because really, what happened to negotiations? What happened to humanity? What happened to love? And remember, one thing for sure, Dr. Susan, remember this one thing. If these people are this sick to kill each other, Caucasians killing Caucasians in Ukraine, do you think they have mercy over Alkebuland?
Impossible.
It's a sick people. It's a sick people with a sick system. And they want to say it's democracy, it's a freedom, it's human rights. But you don't come here. You don't come here as a Caucasian. You don't even come here. The whole of Joe Biden himself or King Charles, I challenge them to the bottom dollar. You don't come here and try and teach Africans about human rights. You don't even know how to spell the name human rights. You don't even know what human rights are all about. You don't even know how to behave like human beings, yourselves and your governments. You come around and tell African governments you want to help them to practice human rights, to have human rights. Do you even have human rights yourselves? Let's ask Vietnamese, what are human rights? Let's ask Japanese, Hiroshima, what are human rights? Let's ask Libya, what are human rights? Let's ask Haiti, Jamaica, the slave trade, what are human rights? Ask Afghanistan, what are human rights? Ask Croatia, ask Ukraine. What are human rights are you talking about? Ask any African country to explain to you what you call human rights. You come around right now sending some NGOs around Africa to lecture Africans about human rights and the beauty of democracy. If democracy was this beautiful, then why did we fight for it? Why didn't we just give it for free? We even had to fight for you to come and teach us what are human rights after you butchered and killed people in our own lands. And you want to come now as a holy saint and say you want to lecture about human rights? Go back to your own countries. Teach each other how to love each other, how to look after each other, how to borrow salt from each other, how to commune together. And when you know how to live with each other, then you can come next door to where we are and ask us, don't teach us, ask us, how do you live also as African, as Alkebuland people? We're simply here to awaken the consciences of the Alkebuland people. And if there's anything we're taking home today, say this after me: I am not like them. I am not like them. By nature, by design, by person, by heart and mind, we are not as wicked as they are.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. Thank you, and welcome to all of you, Sister Elizabeth Marks. Thank you so very much. Yes, and I think I would read the last verse, which really concludes it, and we can round it up. Verse 28 say, make Alkebuland, make time to reflect, to breathe, to look at the sun and the moon. Take nature, walk earth yourself, walk in the nature and the earth by yourself. From the ground you came, to the ground you shall return. Create your own world with your own words, my dear Alkebuland.
I think if there's anything that brings us closer to nature, it is to nurture nature. Too much English today. You need to learn how to nurture nature. And in the presence of nature, you nurture your inner being, inner connectedness amongst the trees, amongst the forests, amongst the rivers and ravines, in the expanse of the moon, the stars, breathing clean air, finding those moments of silence and beauty. Just you don't need to sing or preach or anything. Just create some moments of self earthing. Get yourself a nice place somewhere else where there are no thorns and etc. Remove your shoes. Dig up about 5-10 centimeters into the ground and just bury your feet in there and cover them for a little while and wait and just ground yourself, reposition yourself, earth yourself, and get have this awareness of your
Yes.
environment. Soak yourself in some flowing water on a ravine somewhere, and just sit there quietly, empty your mind, and you begin to hear in the beauty of your soul and spirit. The thing is that many of us, we want education. We think this African spirituality is about information. I want more information. I want more information. And you simply want to tickle your intellectual side of your mind. I can't do that. I can't do that. The least I can do is to be a bridge between you and your knowledge system. And these things we're sharing with you. Take some moments, 20-30 minutes in a day, sit in the sun, like literally. Sit in the sun. Sit in the sun. Gaze at it once in a while, close your eyes again. You see a nice blue light shining right inside your brain. Open them up again, close them up again. Enter into this space of darkness. Experience. Your skin has been kissed by the sun. That's what you are. You're Bantu. You're the koi and the suns. Look at the moon. Once in a while, I do it every year. Every year. When it rains, I take off my clothes. I become a boy again. I go outside and I stand in the rain and I get myself a free shower and just re-earth myself and celebrate. And I remember when we were young, we used to dance in the rain. Mvuranga inaye, tilde makavu, mvuranga inaye, tilde these beautiful chants around the rain and be playing and smashing ourselves in the mud there. Then grandma would be complaining, yeah, come inside, you're going to get a flu and what. But man, at any given opportunity to dance in the rain, or do that. And it did something to us. It did something. We come into the house now, shivering and feeling cold, sitting next to the fire there and warming ourselves, man. It gave us such a beautiful space of freedom. And these are the early 70s before the war struck in Zimbabwe. But these are beautiful days. And we'll sit around the fire there with our wet clothes and wet, small little sleeveless jerseys, listening to grandmother's old stories, telling us the old folklore stories. And that for me is priceless. It's the ethic that we need. Many of us, switch off your phone, switch off your TV, switch off your radio, step away from the noise and hustle and bustle. You say you are stressed, you're not stressed, you're stressing yourself. Just walk away from everything, find some moments of self-reflection, self-connection, plant yourself on the ground, wash yourself in clean water, get up the mountain, breathe fresh, clean air, come back home, switch off everything, drink a beautiful glass of water, tuck yourself in bed, and join me in the land of the dreams. You might just find me there waiting for you. I thank you.
Oh, I mean, like my sisters, Sister Elizabeth, Sister Yoka, Sister Cheryl, Piccolo, son, everyone, if you've come from the village, you've come, even if you're in the Caribbean, in Barbuda, Antigua, Trinidad, Jamaica, you know these things. Whether you are in Atlanta or in the woods or in the street, you get the vibration. These are not some things that, and the only unfortunate thing that I say to our children here, if you have children, I tell them all the time, you don't have the zinc. If you have the kind of roof that we had, and when rain is falling and you hear that tack, 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 in the night, I'm telling you, there's no massage in your brain that is comparable. Here we get up, it's raining, you just see water in the morning. Like they even block the ceilings with even that free massage from the universe. And when that rains are falling, and we are sitting at the fireside roasting some fresh corn and granite or cocoyams, and you see my mom said, please go to pa this and this and bring that fresh palm wine. And then you see the conversations at the fireside, okay? And that's the only time that we knew that our parents know how to love themselves in the village. When the family is gathered, you see, and that's it. That's Alkebuland. Nobody should take this power, unity of love from you. Like my king is saying,
When we come
dig
from there,
that earth.
when we come from there, doctor, when we come from there, we are better people. We are better people. When we come from there,
I share.
we are different people.
Yes.
We are our souls are renewed. So if you can take Psalm 23 again, take some time to shepherd yourself. Walk beside the still waters. Sit in green pastures. Restore your soul, and feed and reread the passage. Read the passage again tonight and make yourself part of that passage and say, what is it that I must do with me? Then you may just find that what we are talking about is what you have been reading all along, but you never saw it because you were in a hurry
Oh,
to
yeah.
go to church. But this time around, you're not going anywhere. You are coming. There's a coming here. There's not a going. You're coming to understanding now that shepherd your soul. Be in need of nothing. Just you need nothing. You need nothing. You can gather as much material as you want. You never become anything better than you are with nothing. It's you here. So you are in need of nothing. Stop your appetite of wanting things. You can never quench that appetite. The heathens and the pagans and the Caucasians live to get things. You don't need nothing. That's why I said the 7th industrial revolution is when we manufacture nothing, own nothing, but have everything. That kind of space when you find the koi and the sun, when you find the Hottentots in the Congo Basin, who does not own a company, he does not own nothing. The whole jungle is his, and the animals that are there, the rivers are his, and he's alive. He has everything, but owns nothing. There's an amount of freedom away from bills and you owing this, you owing that, you late. Hey man, lead yourself to a position where you want nothing. You want nothing. You are complete as you are. You don't need a husband. You don't need a wife. You don't need a child. You don't need a car. You don't need a house. You don't need a bank account. You are complete as you are. Everything else comes to you. Everything else comes to you to assist you to enjoy life better. But even without it, you are complete. This whole rubbish we have heard in churches, which says you're my better half, you're my better half. That's why we have so many crazy people walking around the face of the earth. Because one half is there, the other half is over there. When the other half runs away, you get confused. You need nothing. You are complete by yourself.
Woo! Fire! Let the fire burn. Let the flames rise. That's the freedom. That's the freedom from all shackles, from all commitment, from all bondage, baggages. And they will tell you, bring, even if we go, my king, what is, when the scriptures even say, bring your heavy burden and I will give you rest. What are these burdens?
Don't be troubled.
We don't need
It
it.
says, let not, allow not, refuse to have your heart troubled. You know, don't give an ear to you being troubled. Yes, it's important to have a house, to have what. Don't miss it. Get those things, but they are not you. They are not you. Life is a separate gift that you have in yourself. A glass of water and a plate of food is enough to keep you alive, and happiness cannot be bought, because the happiness that you buy, it has an expiry date, and sometimes the premiums are too high. True happiness is not material ownership. True happiness is the state of heart. What is the attitude of your heart towards yourself, not towards the things that you have? I wish I could explain that further. So it's the happiness you have towards yourself. Are you happy with yourself? Or you think you will be happy when you have something, and then you discover when you have something that it is expired and there's something newer that must come, then you spend your life in meaningless gathering of things. Take away clothes that no longer fit you, give them to other children that need them, give away shoes that you no longer need. Let it go, and have the joy of sharing your life with others. That's what Mother Nature has done to us. And that's what we are. What makes trees strong, that they don't fall during the storms, is that at the bottom of the roots, the trees join their roots together and create a network of strength that holds the forest together. That's what makes a forest strong. So when you think you're going to be an isolated oak tree standing in the field, we're going to find you on your back when the winds have pushed you to the ground. But here in the Congo basin, there in the Amazon basin, those forests, they don't fall apart, because underneath the ground, they are connected. And this simple technology also, that those of you are going to be building skyscrapers, stop building individual skyscrapers. Design your skyscrapers over 1 to 2, 3, 4 miles and build one big solid foundation that joins all those buildings together. Then build individual buildings on top of one big foundation. That's free advice for China and Japan, Malaysia, and Philippines, who are in the hurricane fields. Learn the technology of the jungle. Join your foundations. Then even your buildings will be standing strong after the storm, because it's not one foundation to one building, but it's all foundations to all buildings, I think.
I say, I say, I say. I mean, we're rounding up and we are 400 watching. I mean, I cannot remember. We just connected only to 3 platforms. We are 400 watching. And I hope we have 400 that have liked and that have commented. The more comments, even more than the watchers and the viewers. My king, it cannot, we bless you from our soul. We bless this global family here. Bless all of you that have been a part. Now we're even going up. Now, because I said we're 400, the numbers are climbing down. Tak, 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 tak. Because everybody wants to be the part of this generation, of this love. There is nothing so powerful. You see, because we talk love, the presence of the universe is with us. And that's why we gather. If I connected all our pages, will be 1,000 watching right now. But because we are always attacked by the enemies and stuff, and we just say, you know what, this good stuff is really just good for those that deserve it. We want to thank you so much because it's not only watching, you are going to spread it. Before we meet again here on the 8th edition, look, this is 7 today. So we have done how many? 1 month and 2 sessions when the gospel, according to YAHSHUA MAPONGA, kicked off. So next week,
And
Sunday, we're going
for
to
those of you, and for those of you who want to get involved in translating the gospel, please get in touch with Dr. Susan. She will guide you as to the process of how you can be part of the family to translate these words into your own family, into your own traditional languages, and then give your son a copy. From your copy, then they can copy their copy. I wish to see 7 generations later, but then I should be a spirit somewhere. I want to see a family which will have 7 to 8 translation from the original one, and the father will say, I heard him speak, and I translated my copy. I gave my son the first copy. He translated, and he gave his son. If we can do this within 4 generations, I think we'll have translated and transformed the continent totally. And again, I will not undermine those that have contributed also. I saw some gifts that have been dropped in our pages there to facilitate with the networks. We recognize you, those of you who have contributed. I saw some people dropping in their coins into their space. Please, I want to register and say thank you very much for that contribution. It goes a long way into helping us to realize our bigger goal for the Pan-African Daily TV, live with Dr. Susan Tata. Yours truly, Maponga J. I thank you.
Remember, we have an obligation to spread the gospel of love, of peace, and unity among us. So what this seed planting is the biggest missionary that is an obligation for all of us. So make sure you share these conversations. Make sure you invite members that are out. And we want to thank all of you. Love is easier than hate. It is time we move on and we walk ahead. We have the message from the watchers. So please, can you bless us end the session? Thank you. Pray for us. Can you hear me? The closing prayers. Oh my God, I think he was kicked out. He was kicked out. Right. Anyway, I want to thank you and I bless you and I thank all of you. And may you continue to be the light. And as the light of the Most High shines upon you, so may you take this light into the world and preach the mission of a one Africa, a mission of one humanity, the mission of the children of Alkebuland to find freedom, the mission for its oppressors to pay reparation. May as you go out, you don't forget the words of King Maponga, who said, I am not like them. What does that mean to you? I am not a part of hate. I am not hate. I don't belong to hate. And I will never be distracted by hate because I am love and light. And I am powerful. And I'm abundance. And I don't have no time and no business for hate. So yes, take the word and take the spirit of love to the world, my people. And we give thanks and blessings. May your household be blessed as you go out this week. Anything, it's all in abundance. And please don't forget, tomorrow is 12/12. We have our queen from the Haiti. 12/12 is my Earth Day. But of course, I am, giving this 12/12. I don't know, celebrate what? I said it yesterday. What are we celebrating when our people are dying of hunger? So we are dedicating this 12/12 for 21 days until we enter the 1st of January to the people of Haiti. The people of Haiti need our support. So tomorrow, Mama Bello, who is the queen out there and the voice out there, is going to come on the show as a dedication upon my invitation to tell us the situation on the ground. Because every 1st of January, they celebrate the soup, the freedom soup of Haiti. And we had a conversation and she told me, now it's worse than anything. Haiti is under attack from satanic and the demonic principalities that we don't see. The invincible hands, they are dedicated to starve Haiti to death. So there's a lot of hunger. People are dying of hunger in Haiti. So we are not only going to pray, we remember them spiritually as we're connected, but we have to use this 21 days to say before the 1st of January, the Haitians would be able to get their freedom soup. Because right now, Fondation Félicité, the organization of Mama Bello that has been doing it for 25 years, sharing that soup jamon, they are not even able. Even the young volunteers, they just complaining and like, Mama Bello, we don't even need a cake like you used to do. If we can just feed the people that are dying on this 1st of January, then it will be okay. And we on the Pan-African Daily TV, we are putting our voices. I am dedicating my day tomorrow, 12/12, in the 12/12 solidarity and movement to say, Pan-African Daily TV, you that are watching me have sent us out to support our people in Haiti. So she's going to come. She will tell us the process. She will give us the donation link that they have created. And we're going to dedicate our voices, our love. We're going to show that solidarity 12/12 that we are talking about. We're going to put it in practice. So I thank you so very much. Be on time tomorrow. Bello is going to be here to show so much love. We want to shower our people in Haiti with all the best of love and solidarity and care that we can. It is not only about the diaspora giving to the continent. You that are watching me from the continent, I'm talking about my coordinators. I see Petrina from Namibia. That's the young executive leader out there. We want you people to mobilize your voices on the continent. It doesn't matter how little the continent has to be able to support its children in the diaspora, because the minerals, the wealth that you are sitting on, the diaspora has nothing. So we have to collectively sacrifice and make sure we reach out to our people in Haiti. Thank you so very much. Thank you for your blessings and everything. And we see us tomorrow, same time, 12/12, okay, December, to celebrate, show love to our people, Haiti. It's not about me, Haiti, okay? Everything about dedication is to our people in Haiti. So come prepared to just bombard them with love, just with love. The text that you're testing here, that we're going to show them we are with them, that we listen to them, because a lot are going to be connected. Mama Bello wants to connect his channel for them to know that they are his brothers and sisters out there from the continent in the diaspora that love and care for them. So yes, coming in your numbers like today. And I think we're also going to stream it from King MAPONGA's page. And we're also going to try to connect our other pages. So peace and blessings to you. Good night. We see us tomorrow. Bye-bye. You are watching the Pan-African Daily TV with Dr. Susan Tata. The Africa we...
After centuries of misguidance caused by slavery, colonization, lack of awareness of our history, and institutional disinformation,
This is the voice out of Africa for the liberation of my people. MAPONGA Joshua, Mara, Chigarambok, Kugaramashambahuda. Down south, in the land of Royal Papa, bees and endangered species, melanin, blackness, up, the black man, if any touch.
You are watching the Pan-African Daily TV with Dr. Susan Tata. The Africa we want. Unity, consciousness, our culture, our spirituality, our history. One Africa for Africans worldwide. Motherlands calling its diaspora home. Join my voice. Join my team. Join my campaign. Campaign 21 hashtag 1 million subscribers on the Pan-African Daily TV YouTube. Be a volunteer. Apply now. Be the new Africa.